Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation, Guru Nation. Guru Nation, thank you so much for watching. It's a very special episode. We're at Save Our Sites. This is actually, we just met in person, like shook hands for the first time, like 2 hours ago. So
It's
nice to meet you, Brad.
Yeah, nice to meet you. It's hard to believe it's taken this long.
It's an insane, but we've got SOS tomorrow. So when you're watching this, it would have already happened. I've heard already from the future, it's like the best conference there is.
It may be the best conference that's ever existed in the history of all mankind.
Probably. So for those that don't know Brad Hightower, he's one of the co-founders of SOS. He's also got Hightower Clinical. He's got Note to File podcast, and he's got a very popular LinkedIn page where he rants, raves, does all kind of stuff, all kind of cool stuff. But this is like the origin story. People want to know because I do think you're like a huge inspiration, Brad, even to site owners that are already doing this for a while. Like, you're an inspiration to me, actually. The way you've built your site and you've gotten all these specialists and 80 studies a year, and you're on some of these trials, you're enrolling like hundreds of people. That's inspiration, man.
I appreciate that. And, you know, a lot of the reason I broke off to do this on my own was from watching your videos. So it comes full circle. You know, I mean, you were an inspiration to me, and I was working, you know, in a nonprofit spinoff of like a cardiovascular hospital, doing, you know, clinical trials. It really wasn't going great. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to work with community physicians. I didn't know what to do, though. I mean, even now, I still think we lack, you know, very solid instructionals on like how to do these things. So
that's why we're doing this conference.
Exactly. And, you know, from watching, you know, videos you would put together over the years, I was like, you know, I think I can put these pieces together, I think. So, yeah, I mean, again, in so many ways, the only reason I'm here is from watching the content you've been putting out for what, 12 years now, probably?
Since 2010. So, yeah, what is it, 14?
Yeah.
Dang.
Been a hot minute.
It's been a hot minute. My first video, I deleted it 6 months. I was so embarrassed by it, but you just keep getting better. And I think that's one of the things about being a site owner too, is you evolve your skill set. I'm on like my 6th company. You're on your first, but you're growing that thing into something crazy and something very aspirational for people watching.
To your point, I mean, it's pivoted in many ways from how I originally thought it would go. You know, it was going to be 100% embedded within, you know, these smaller community practices. Then we ended up having a small standalone site for a little while. And now it's, you know, embedded inside a, you know, large health system and a big hospital. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we still embed within small clinics, but all along the way, it's been changing.
Did you have the vision that it would be this big?
Say that again?
Did you have the vision that it would actually be this big as it is now?
No, I think it's already gone beyond what I originally expected. And I'm sure you've faced this too, but all along the way, sort of deciding like how big do you want to get? Because there's still a ton of unexplored opportunities, you know, when it comes to underserved communities. I mean, so no, it's already bigger than I expected it to be. And especially it feels like it's been forever, but it's only been, you know, 6 years or so.
That's another thing is you've done it fast. Like, it really is aspirational. I know if it's like motivating me, it's got to be motivating people out there who haven't started sites, you know.
And we need more, man. We need more people.
We do. In
their communities, serving their communities that aren't big academic medical centers. Nothing against them, but you know, and that's why I love this. I mean, like, we see the smattering of people across the country who are trying to build that in their communities. So I think, yeah, we need more, man.
Now, when you say you got started, like you stumbled into it on accident, like most people don't know you were a phlebotomist.
I was, yeah. And, you know, when I was really young, I thought, I wanted to go to med school. I had to get a job in college. There was a plasma center hiring. So I was like, they were literally just hiring entry-level phlebotomists, people with no experience.
But you already had your certificate?
Not
or
at that
license?
time. So I went in and I stuck, by the time I'd quit, I'd stuck literally like 25,000 people. Like the
Wow.
computer kept a record.
And how many years was that you were there?
I was probably, 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So when did you hear about research, like the first time?
So my sister-in-law worked at the university as a clinical research coordinator.
Oh, okay.
During that time, I had
Sister-in-law, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife's sister.
Okay.
She was leaving the position for something better for her, and she's like, you should come just check out the position, and you have some of the skills that would transfer over. You should really give it a shot. And I didn't love it at first. It took me a good year or two to really feel comfortable and to sort of like what I was doing. That probably didn't help that I was in an academic center where things are very, it's like pulling teeth to get anything done.
Yeah.
But it took, there were times in those first couple of years where I was like, I don't know if this is for me,
I see. So how do you go from that? Because usually those kind of settings are it's the opposite of aspirational. What's the antonym of that aspirational?
Yeah.
It's like depressing.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is almost, you're most incentivized to not do work, frankly.
So did you feel that when you were there?
At first, I did. I did have, the luck of having like a really good, there's a really good business manager there in that department in neurology. And I think he really kind of helped inspire me to actually just take it upon myself to figure it out. Otherwise, I was just sort of coasting along.
So this guy played a role in shaping
He did, yeah. And he's long gone since then. Todd Barnes, if you're out there listening by some stroke of luck, then
he's not a SOS. Where is he at? He didn't start a site.
Now he stayed within the university. He had a more like kind of business administration role for the department, not even research specifically. But I really just was like, you know what? I'm going to give this like a real try.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
But like, how did you even see when you're in that kind of setting? So it really was this guy showing you that it's possible. Because when I know so many people in that setting that don't even think I could start a site, or they think it's so complicated because around them everything's complex. They're like, I'll never be able to hire 30 people to start a site, when you don't need anyone but yourself really to start a site.
No, it's true.
So how did you connect those dots? Like
actually by then I had moved on and I was working for this heart hospital.
Okay.
So he inspired me to just be able to like figure it out on my own, which I feel like a lot of us have to do this in clinical trials. So it was like, go figure out how to find studies, go figure out how to negotiate budgets, go figure out how to do the IRB submission, go figure out how to make relationships within this industry. And so I was able to build that department up, which was basically doing nothing.
So this was your third job now by this time?
This was still the first job. This is still the first job.
The plasma center?
No. So it was plasma center, then university CRC. So
Gotcha.
second job.
Okay.
But at that point, I was looking to see what else. It's a very small research market in Oklahoma City. So, I found this heart hospital. They had a research. They brought me in as a manager. I eventually became the director. But it was better than working in a university, but the incentives still weren't very well aligned. Most of the physicians didn't want to do research. It was sort of forced on them in many ways. And then, I started watching your content, and I was like, I'm talking to and seeing physicians in the community who want to do trials, but don't know how, don't have the infrastructure, don't cost too much money. And then actually approached the board where I worked and said, we should be partnering with these community physicians.
I see.
And they said, that's a really good idea. We'll take it to the board.
So you were an intrapreneur.
I was trying to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, the board, I guess, decided that wasn't the direction they wanted to go. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it either way.
At that point, you're like, screw this.
Yes. And
I'm going to do it.
Had come in for my annual review with the COO of the hospital. And he was like, I think you're doing well, and I'm like, you know what? But I'm going to stop you. I'm putting in my notice right now. I'm making the jump, and I'm going to do this.
Wow.
I'm going to do this myself.
And so do you think you were born an entrepreneur, or did you slowly evolve into one? Because you're a full-blooded entrepreneur right now.
I don't think I was necessarily born that way. I was always more drawn to the arts. I was a musician.
Right. That's what people don't know. You're a musician, baseball player.
Yeah, I played baseball, and I feel like it's funny because even when I was in a band, I was the one booking our tours. So there may be some hidden entrepreneurship in there. Yeah, I was the one
Project manager,
making sure we got paid. As we booked shows around the country.
Okay.
But I never really considered myself an entrepreneur. I never considered myself a businessman.
But you still gravitated towards the business aspects.
I did.
Like
I think more it was just I felt like everyone was doing it wrong.
I see.
I didn't necessarily think it was going to be the wisest business decision in the world. But I felt though that we were really not utilizing the opportunities available to help better serve the community.
So you like to figure out. You like to hack things. You're a hacker.
That was it, man. I found a problem, and I'm like, I think I can help fix this problem a little bit.
I see. That makes sense. Knowing what I know about you is like, and the things you complain about, they're usually like, you're not just complaining to complain. You're usually saying like, why is it not done this way? It's the same reason why you quit your job.
And it's the same. I talked to somebody here today, and like the idea is like work backwards, right? Like first thing you have to do is identify where these problems are, and then you need to know them really, really well. I think you need to figure out what the problem is and why it's a problem. And I think that takes some time. And unfortunately, a lot of what you see during that process looks like complaining, but it's really looking at the problem from a lot of different angles to figure out why it's a problem.
So basically, you're like a hacker, reverse engineer. That overlaps with entrepreneur.
I feel like those are way too sophisticated titles to give me, but it's conceptually, it's not.
Well, compared
wrong.
to me, like I'm a little different because I think I'm like full-fledged entrepreneur. I remember since I was 4. I never thought I would own a business. I just didn't know what that meant. But I'm not I think it could be done better guy. I'm more of a I get pumped about things that are working, and if it's not, I just don't care. I keep figuring it out.
Right.
But I don't necessarily start with that. I find a business and I'm like, okay, this can do it. Like only when it breaks, then we fix it.
Sure.
But it seems like you tinker constantly.
Much to the chagrin of my staff, because I'm like, we're trying this week. We're trying this week. But unfortunately, I feel like that's the only way you're going to figure it out with any relevance. Like you can pick a thing and run with it. But then you find that you're like shoehorning it in where it doesn't make sense, or like you're having to use it in ways that don't actually serve you very well. So yeah, tinker is maybe the most
makes so much sense.
Most accurate way, of describing it.
For someone who's followed you for a while and then in the last year, because of this, gotten closer, it's consistent with what I just heard.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Sure.
Interesting. Okay, so then you started Hightower Clinical. What did you do? Did you think it would be as easy as finding one doctor? And
that's all I cared to do to start. Find one doctor. I found one practice. It was a cardiovascular clinic. They had a ambulatory surgery center downstairs, so they could do some surgical stuff as well with some vascular surgeons. And I just went out and got a few cardiology trials. That was it. That was my first thing. I wasn't thinking about anything else. Start there. Let's see what I can do. Along the way, I found, here's a migraine trial. You know what? I used to work in neuro. Let me go find a neurologist.
Yeah.
And then you start putting pieces together. Some things work. Again, I think it's tinkering. Some relationships work, some don't. Some models work and some don't. And hopefully, you don't have to go through too many failed experiments before you find a couple that have some, kernel of something that's going to work to them.
Yeah. So that first study, how long did it take you to get it? Like you get the PI relatively
I got it fairly
quick, right?
soon, just because I'd had that relationship in cardiovascular that was still pretty warm.
Okay.
So I was able to grab some trials pretty quick, but they were not particularly good trials. they were hard, and they didn't
Very
they
common.
didn't do
Those
real
are the
well.
ones that give you the
Yeah,
studies
right,
first.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, we grinded through those first few trials, just kind of breaking even, maybe not even that.
At this point, was it just you?
It was just me.
And
yeah.
were you paying rent anywhere? Or?
No, part of the deal was we did get sort of a 10 by 10 room within that physician practice.
Perfect.
And I was like, just give me a closet.
So you had like no expenses, basically.
Correct,
It was just
yeah.
you and whatever the patients got paid.
Yep, some equipment, a little bit of equipment, to put some calibration
Okay.
tags on.
And they were sucky studies, but you still made some money.
True, yeah.
What point did you decide, hey, I'm going to hire a coordinator?
It was close to a year in, probably.
A year in,
Yeah,
okay.
and I really wanted to wait until I felt like I needed it and that I wouldn't succeed without it. I do think sometimes people jump a little too soon to
Yeah.
let's start hiring people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was about a year in.
So it's 2024 now. So when was this? What year are we talking about here?
That would have been 2018.
Wow. So 2017 is like when you went out on your own, kind of.
Yeah, I believe somewhere 2016, 2017
Okay.
is when I full on
Okay.
left and did it on my own. I think it was
Okay.
about early 2018 when I finally started bringing people in, and now we're, I think, 13 deep.
Wow, 13 deep.
We probably need more desperately.
And you're growing your side, and now are you comfortable talking about expanding, or you're going to keep it under wraps?
No, we signed a cancer center in Arkansas.
There you go. I was going to say congrats on
And we
that.
already have been study awarded. We should do SIV in March. I think we're already trying to get scheduled. So
Wow.
yeah, we're already moving along, trying to scale slowly but surely.
So it's a work in progress. And Brad, man, you're an inspiration to so many, including myself. It's nice
Likewise,
to finally
dude.
meet you in person. And this is the first of many. They're calling us. I think it's your turn.
All right.
But thank you so much. Everybody go follow Brad underneath. His LinkedIn's underneath. And if you're listening on the audio, same thing. Go connect with him if you are not already, which I would find hard to believe, but go do it. Thank you,
Thanks,
Brad.
man.
Hey, if you guys like that kind of content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, share. Stay tuned for more videos.